The December Eve is nigh. Even then the misty mellowness has not come, because the rainy days are still persisting. Welcome once again to News Analysis. News Analysis, a weekly magazine on current affairs. To begin with, the main points in a nutshell. Passive smoking, a global threat, kills 6 lakh a year. South Korea reassesses its defenses after the attack. Maliki given 30 days to form government in Iraq. Brazil police in control of Rio gang stronghold. Mumbai marks 26/11 terror attacks anniversary. India to open new consulate in Sri Lanka. And now the news in detail. Passive smoking kills 6 lakh worldwide. The first global study into the effects of passive smoking has found it causes 6 lakh deaths every year. 1/3 of those killed are children, often exposed to smoke at home, the World Health Organization (WHO) found. The study in 192 countries found that passive smoking is particularly dangerous for children, said to be the higher risk of sudden infant death syndrome, pneumonia and asthma. Passive smoking causes heart disease, respiratory illness and lung cancer. This helps us to understand the real toll of tobacco, said Armando Peruga of the WHO's Tobacco Free Initiative, who led the study. The global health body said it was particularly concerned about the 165,000 children who die of smoke-related respiratory infections, mostly in Southeast Asia and in Africa. It said that this group was more exposed to passive smoking than any other group, principally in their own homes. The mix of infectious diseases and second-hand smoke is a deadly combination, Mr. Peruga continued. As well as being at increased risk of a series of respiratory conditions, the lungs of children who breathe in passive smoke may also develop more slowly than children who grow up in smoke-free environments.
If you smoke around children, they smoke too. Every year, thousands of children have to go to hospital because of breathing other people's cigarette smoke.
Worldwide, 40% of children and 33% of non-smoking men and 35% of non-smoking women are exposed to second-hand smoke in 2004, research has found. This exposure was estimated to have caused 3,79,000 deaths from heart disease, 1,65,000 from lower respiratory tract infections, 36,900 from asthma and 21,400 from lung cancer. South Korea reassesses its defense after attack. Responding to growing public criticism after a deadly North Korean attack, President Lee Myung-bak accepted the resignation of his defense minister on Thursday and announced changes in the military's rules of engagement to make it easier for South Korea to strike back with greater force, especially if civilians are threatened. The government also announced plans to increase the number of troops and heavy weapons on Yeonpyeong Island, where 2 Marines and 2 civilians died Tuesday in an artillery fusillade from the north. On Friday, President Lee initially put forward a security advisor, Lee Hee-won, as the new defense minister, but the government later pulled back on that announcement. But Mr. Lee, who came to office 2 years ago vowing to get tough with the North, has little maneuvering room in formulating a response. While the attack appears to have pushed anti-North Korean sentiment here to highest levels in years, there's little public support for taking military action against the North that might lead to an escalation of hostilities. North Korea has nothing to lose while we have everything to lose, said Kong Won-taek, a professor of politics at Seoul National University. Lee Myung-bak has no choice but to soften his tone to keep his country peaceful. It's not an appealing choice, but it is the only realistic choice. The South's powerful neighbor is also counseling restraint. The Chinese Prime Minister Wen Jiabao said Thursday that Beijing opposed to any provocative military behavior by either side of the Korean peninsula. Xinhua, the state news agency, reported.
I feel like I might be called up as a reserve soldier. I can really feel now that war might break out. Seriously, I'm really scared.
Maliki given 30 days to form government in Iraq. Iraq's president formally nominated Nouri al-Maliki for a second term as the country's prime minister on Thursday, giving him 30 days to cobble together a government from competing factions that remain deeply divided and suspicious of his return to power. President Jalal Talabani first nominated Mr. Malik when Iraq's new parliament met in stormy session 2 weeks ago. But he delayed the formal designation required by the country's constitution until Thursday to give Mr. Maliki the maximum amount of time to negotiate the competing demands of parliamentary blocs that covet leadership posts. Mr. Talabani, a Kurd who was re-elected 2 weeks ago, announced the nomination in a televised ceremony at his Peace Palace on Tigris River. He was joined by leaders of all major parties except Mr. Maliki's man, rival Ayad Alawi, a Shiite whose coalition won the support of most of Iraq's Sunnis. President Talabani called on Mr. Maliki to form a new government that we hope will be a government of national partnership and will not exclude anyone.
العراقيين يجب أن يحلوا مشاكلهم في بغداد وفي أربيل وفي البصرة وفي الموصل وفي النجف والرمادي وليس في مكان آخر.
Brazil police in control of Rio gang stronghold. Police in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil say they have now total control of a Vila Cruzeiro shanty town as they continue a crackdown on violent drug gangs. Security forces earlier deployed armored vehicles transporting armed police into Vila Cruzeiro in the north of the city. The offensive comes after 5 days of clashes which have killed at least 30 people. 8 people of those were killed in Thursday's push, authorities said. In response to the police operation, gangs have been setting up barricades, burning vehicles and opening fire, officials said. Some 17,500 police officers have been deployed to try to stop the violence. According to the government, most of the victims of the violence are drug dealers, reports say. But innocent people have also been killed, including a 14-year-old girl and a 62-year-old lady, correspondents added. EU bans bisphenol A, a chemical for babies' bottles. The European Union Commission has announced a ban on the use of bisphenol A, BPA, in plastic baby bottles. The Commission cited fears that the compound could affect development of immune system in young children. The European Union ban will come into effect during 2011. There has been concern over the use of BPA for some time, with 6 U.S. manufacturers removing it in 2009 from bottles they sold in the U.S., although not other markets. The chemical is widely used in making hard, clear plastic and is commonly found in food and drink containers. There has been concern over the use of BPA for some time, with 6 U.S. manufacturers removing it in 2009 from bottles they sold in the U.S., although not from other markets. The chemical is widely used in making hard, clear plastic and is commonly found in food and drink containers.
Concerns about BPA have proliferated. Stores like This Organic Market have begun carrying baby bottles made without the controversial chemical.
Parents would be willing to pay the extra money to have a product that they felt was safe.
There are over 6 billion pounds of this product made a year. Low doses of this, below the amounts that are present in humans, when particularly exposure occurs in fetuses and newborns, you end up with those babies eventually developing prostate.
And before we close today's bulletin of news analysis, we can have a recap of the headlines. Passive smoking, a global threat, kills 6 lakh a year. South Korea reassesses its defenses after the attack. Maliki given 30 days to form government in Iraq. Brazil police in control of Rio gang stronghold. Mumbai marks 26/11 terror attacks anniversary. India to open new consulate in Sri Lanka. And there we end today's bulletin of news analysis. Be with us in the coming weeks too. Thank you.